let's do this. Why don't we? Let me give an example of something of a manifestation, and then Peter, I want you to break it down and go through the steps. I mean, just break it down and see, like, how do we get there? So, for example, we were in a global pandemic, and it happened in 2020, and I'm a full-time actor. And when the lockdowns hit, the entire film industry, among other industries, were completely shut down. There were no more jobs, there were no auditions, there were just nothing. Just completely stopped. And because of CSLDallas and the things that I've learned here, I didn't freak out. I didn't really panic. I just kind of did the work, and I just knew that it was not just going to be okay, but I was going to thrive during it. So for the first 2-3 months, of course, no auditions, nothing, no bookings, a couple of voiceover stuff, and then I mean, literally, it felt like just it came all of a sudden. I started. Not only was I auditioning, I was just booking left and right, over and over, and like these massive bookings started happening, and it started in June, and I remember like, who is doing shoots? I don't understand how these are happening. Why am I? Because all of my friends, acting friends, they're still not even seeing auditions happening, and I'm on set. With COVID restrictions, everybody in masks, the whole crew is in gloves, 6 feet distance. We all get our own dressing rooms. Like, it's super safe. There have been no outbreaks on these sets, and I'm working. So, okay, so literally, I did the work. I just knew that I wasn't just going to be fine. I was going to thrive, and I was going to stay healthy through this whole thing. And I knew this for my family as well as my friends. I had to know that for everyone around me, because it was a really scary time, but I just didn't let it like freak me out like I used to. If this happened 3 years ago, I would be a basket case. I know that about myself. And it turned out 2020 was actually was even better than 2019. It was one of the best years, in terms of work. So Peter, help me walk me through it. What was happening? How did that happen?
Shakera, you're going to help me on this, right?
Yeah,
So,
Because I know what I was doing,
paraphrase.
but I know what I was doing, but I want you to walk through the process of like, how do you manifest?
well, I think that you have actually described the process incredibly well. One, you decide where you want to go. Two, you put your stake in the ground. Three, you become obsessed with your stake in the ground. Four, you don't let anything shake you. And if you do get shaken, which we all do along the way, we do not become panicked about the fact that we've gotten shaken. We do what we need to do to get back into the obsessed idea. I'm going to thrive through this. No, I'm going to thrive through this. I don't know how. I don't know what's going on. I don't know, but I am going to thrive through it, right? That's my stake in the ground. And I think sometimes we get confused that our manifestation always has to be a form. It can be a form, right? I mean, really, sure. If you want a car, a house, of course it can be a form. But usually it's so much more than a form, right? Your stake in the ground is I'm going to thrive through this. That was the stake in the ground. And clearly it was having to do with work and money, right? It wasn't about health or relationships. It was, you clearly had an area of your life in which you were aiming that deliberate stake in the ground. And so I loved what Shakera said. We're demonstrating our consciousness. So that was the consciousness with which you engaged. And then, if there's a curveball thrown, or if there's something else, or it doesn't, you have a few months where there's nothing. But if our consciousness is, no, I'm going to thrive. I mean, it doesn't sort of matter how many curveballs or how long, because it must then manifest. The consciousness manifests, right? The demonstration is in consciousness, and then it's the law's job to figure out how. So you are getting all these shoots and all these things and all them, and you're like, what is happening? Where is this all coming from? We don't even have to know. That is what it means to have a universal law. I don't know how the electricity from the transformer comes and runs this computer that I'm on right now. That's the law's job. The law of electricity, that's its job, right? I have to be here and plug my computer in and be ready to use it. So that's how I would break that down. And we have techniques and tools and spiritual practices all along the way, right, to help at each moment, depending on where we are in that manifestation process. So off the top of my head, that's how I would break that down. Shakera?
I agree with that. I would also add that, the conscious creation process can only go wrong in our own minds. And so if you're keeping your mind set, like Petra talked about your knowing, it's, to me, it articulated that there was no separation between you and good health. There was no separation between you and the money and the thriving, and if you really know it, that's what that knowing creates. It's I'm all in with this thing, and it's all in with me. And that's something I've been learning too in the process of Science of Mind with Dr. Petra and all of our wonderful teachers, right? It's once I know it, I embody that. And so as you embody that, you get more of what you are. You don't get more of what you want. You get more of what you are and what you decide to be in that conviction. And so this is how I see that playing out. And so I think if you were really holding on to like, I'm going to have a thriving life in the midst of this, of course the out picture would be all these darn things coming through, because you were just really set on that. And you would align yourself so much with that it had no choice but to be that. So wow. I think that's wonderful, and I'm super excited for all of your creative endeavors this year. Hey, what?